from November and December. Anything you want to flag from these, please? Should we take November, please?
I don't actually think, because there are alerts were around service group financial management and cross health board financial management. I think we covered those for the update. The only one in December I talked about as part of the IPR, which was the absence of 24/7 stroke consultant cover stroke. So I think we covered it.
We will be coming back to that in the 26th and 27th plan. Thank you. So we'll turn now to another important section of our agenda on people, giving our 14,000 staff. Andrina, shall I start with you on the committee update?
I'll try and summarise quickly so I'm after the time. You've got a few alerts here. One was in relation to the minor injuries unit, which we've heard about, and we are receiving a further report on that. So I won't go into that in any detail. Then we've obviously got an alert in relation to the mental health and learning disability service group in relation to things like their high sickness rate, which we talked about, the PADR compliance and the high level of healthcare support worker vacancies, which I understand is in hand. So obviously we've agreed again to get a further report back on that to a future workforce. And then there's already Tina's referred to this other one, which is the strategic risk register being reviewed in the context of all the types of risks that are on in relation to workforce. And we'll be having that back to the next meeting. There was the only other one I was going to mention was the advice. Obviously, we were looking at workforce planning, and there was a concern that we probably didn't have comprehensive workforce planning placed for the organisation. So the idea was that we are going to be looking at that in the context of both top down and bottom up in terms of needs. And then obviously that would need to fit with our financial plans as well and into our annual plan going forward. So there is an intention to do that review.
Tina, do you want to add anything?
I think that covers the main points from the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rina, and committee members for all the work that you're doing there. So Tina, should we turn to you then and organised for success, please?
Yes. So just a reminder of the 3 phases of the programme. Phase 1 is making sure we've got accountability from exec team through the organisation. And so looking at the exec portfolios, the deputy structure. Phase 1 also contains the standing up delivery unit to make sure we've got the right capability and capacity to deliver on our priorities. Phase 2 is Deb's leading on, which is the our operating model and how we move from a geographical service group model to a thematic care group model, and then associated with that and making sure we've got the right structure and functionality in our top 4 layers of the organisation. So leaders with the right experience, values and so forth. And the third phase is to make sure those care groups have got the right wraparound support to make them succeed. So things like finance, HR, etc. So the progress you'll see from the report in front of you is that we have got the portfolios, exec portfolios, first draft that's here to be received by the board. I'm working with my exec colleagues on the deputy structure to make sure we've got that line of sight for the next tier down and the change in portfolios that's equitable, and where we need to reduce that next tier down, we will do so. The delivery unit we've touched upon early in the meeting today, where we have got a draft design for that with the functions detailed in the report. We are progressing with some of the roles that need to lead this for a temporary period of time until we work through what that looks like. So there's going to be 2 phases to the establishment of the unit. One is be a lift and a shift of those functions into the unit. And then the second phase will be how we then organise them in a better way. But we don't want to waste time in doing the complex change all in one go. We want to get people into the unit and then point them at the right things to work on whilst we're working through the changes with them. That's phase 1. Phase 2, we have gone out to consultation with the TRIs in the service groups on E and F. So E being moving from the service groups to the care groups. And the recommendation was that there's been consensus across the organisation to move to the 6 care groups with one requested change, and to rename the neighbourhood care group to an integrated community services care group. And so we're recommending to the board seeking approval to do that. And I'll come on to the date in a minute. The second element that we went out to consultation on whether we should be clinically led or operationally led. In fairness, we only consulted with that top tier within the service group. It was mixed feedback. We didn't have a clear way forward. And so we've discussed it as an exec team, and we believe that we need to take and get this right, because it's so important that we have the right model, the right leaders. So we're going to take some wider engagement across the organisation, because it will impact on the 4 layers of the organisation as well. And because of that, the organising, moving from service group to care group, we're recommending that if that goes live on the 1st of September 26, allow us to plan for that properly, because there'll be a number of things that we have to plan in the background, such as alignment of digital systems, workforce systems, budgets and so forth. So that's what I'm seeking from the board today, is the approval of the care group structure, the revised name, the date of the 1st of September as a go live, and to note the other updates from the programme, please, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tina. So, Rena, was there anything you wanted to add there from Workforce Committee?
No, only that we are having a report on this at every meeting from now on. Yeah.
Thank you. So, any comments or questions? Steve?
The director of delivery obviously is a very key post, and I think probably not lifted and shifted, probably anyway. But to whom will that person report?
So that's being worked through. So we'll have an interim arrangement, and it's probably likely to report to Abby directly, the interim, until we work through the phase 2 of what that's going to look like going forward. And we've got some action in place behind the scenes. So we've drafted the job descriptions, and we're like to press the button on the adverts shortly.
Thank you.
Anything more about it? No, that's fine. Okay, so we look forward to seeing that advert come out. So we're asked to approve planning and development of this new model from 4 service groups to 6 care groups coming in on the 1st of September. We can tend to approve. Thank you very much. And then the new name of Integrated Community Services Care Group.
I would like my idea of neighbourhoods.
In place of neighbourhood care group. So are we happy? Are we content? Thank you. Thank you very much. And Tina, we know there's an awful lot of work goes on underneath this and behind this, and all the executives are involved in it as well. But thank you very much, because it's fundamental.
And
to the organisation, really.
Sorry, I've got to mention there was a request at the last board meeting around gateways to make sure we've got the right criteria for go and no go, and that's being worked on, Chair, and will be shared in due course with the board.
That's great. So we move now on to another very important section, as I said before. All well-run organisations have good governance, and we're going to start off with you, Nuria, and Audit Committee.
You can see that you've got two sets of minutes which are there for noting. You will see from the minutes all the key areas we had scrutinised, the audit committee. But however, for the purposes of today, I intend to focus on actions I need to draw your attention to, but I'm, as always, happy to take any questions. We have already discussed the risk register in detail, so I won't dwell on that. We need to improve our performance in relation to management responses to internal audit recommendations. We have, as an audit committee, agreed new processes, but could I please request the executive support Len in his role by providing timely responses, which is really important. We are reducing outstanding recommendations, but as always, there is a need to increase pace given the number that we're holding. And we are concerned about delays in addressing mortuary and pathology recommendations, which will be bringing a deep dive into the committee at a later point. I think that's all I want to say. for now, unless there are any questions.
Yeah, and again, the work of the audit committee under your chairmanship is very, very rigorous, thorough. With all aspects of our business, so thank you. And thank you, and we'll take those of the advice and assurance. As ever. Nicola, charitable fund.
Very much. Just to advise, the committee have approved the annual accounts, the charity annual report, the Audit Wales audit plan, and the Audit Wales ISA 260. I just wanted to put on record on behalf of the committee our thanks to Audit Wales, finance team, Richard, Thomas, and the charity team, Rugly, for everything that they've been doing this year.
And we'll add to that, Nicola, and as we said, you know, the charity is just going from strength to strength, and we just want to plug a coffee morning, 4th of February, Mansion House in Swansea, Lord Mayor's Coffee Morning. If you haven't got a ticket, please get one, because it will be very good morning. Nicola, anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's it. And if you can't make it, there's a place you can still donate on the link. So no pressure, but no, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicola. And Sarah, good afternoon. Sorry we've kept you waiting. We hope you haven't been waiting too long.
No, not at all, Chair. Thank
Very,
you.
very important and busy day. So we're delighted to have you with us for item 6.3. So Hazel, are you going to make an initial introduction?
Yeah, so just a place on record, thanks to Sarah and her colleagues from Audit Wales for all the work that they do in undertaking the audits on Swansea Bay. We value Sarah's input and the colleagues as well. So Sarah's here today to present the Audit Wales annual audit summary and also the strategic assessment, which is a really important review of the organisation because it looks how well the board is run and how well we're run as an organisation and how we're governed. So I'll hand over to Sarah.
Thank you. And Sarah, you can take it that we have read the paperwork. So
Thank you.
That
Thank
makes it a bit easier for you, but over to
Yes.
you.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate that. So you have two reports from us today, as Hazel's just introduced. If I can start with the annual audit summary, which is the first report in your pack. So we present this report to summarise the main findings from our 2025 audit work. This is a new format for us from last year, and we've included a summary of each report that we've produced, which have obviously been received by the audit committee. Within this summary report, you can see both the audit of accounts findings and also the performance audit work that we undertake with the Health Board. You can see from the accounts that we have issued an unqualified true and fair opinion, but a qualified regularity opinion. And you can see a summary of our performance audit work within there. And we have undertaken structured assessments, planned care, patient flow out of hospital, and also managing urgent and emergency demand. Since this report has been written, we have actually finalised the quality governance report with the Health Board as well, which will be presented at the next audit committee, and work is ongoing on our digital and our estates review, as well as our cancer services, of which we're making good progress. Digital especially will be with the Health Board soon as a draft. Again, can I just take this opportunity to thank everyone involved in helping us deliver our audit programme. It is very much appreciated. Special thanks to Hazel and the team, and I really do value the relationship that we have and the mutual support that we do as we work through the programme. I'm happy to take any questions on the annual audit summary.
Thank you, Sarah. Any comments? Jean?
Two comments for me, please. On page 12, you mentioned the slow progress against 2017 recommendations in patient discharge.
Yes.
If I can just take up again, Chair, all of the reports that we get back, including the audit reports, has this question of pace in dealing with recommendations made by various bodies. So it's using this as the vehicle through which to say, can we look at that? So whether it's audit, whether it's Health Improvement Wales or whatever it is, there is always an element that reports slow progress against closing down recommendations. So that's one thing I wanted to pick up. The second point I wanted to pick up was on page 13, where you reference regular patient and staff feedback. We have strengthened that within the Quality and Safety Committee. So I'm pleased that you've made 8 recommendations, but we're already on that one.
Thank you.
Sarah, any comments on that? Because we will take on board the point of pace in terms of responses to recommendations, and Nuria will echo that in full from the audit
Yeah.
committee perspective. So Hazel, can we give you an action to coordinate that, please? Thank you. And Sarah, the structured assessment then.
Thank you, Chair. So this is our annual structure assessment report, which the Audit Committee considered at the November meeting. Again, we have a new format to these reports, so it does look different from last year. Just to say, the fieldwork was undertaken over summer, with the report finalised in October. So I know that the Health Board has been undertaking a programme of work in certain areas, so audit is at a point in time. Our audit scope has remained the same. We continue to look at how the board works, how it keeps track of risk, performance, service quality and recommendations, how it produces key plans and strategies, and how it manages its finances. We also look at the implementation of recommendations from previous structure assessments, and this year we also looked at progress in addressing recommendations from the 2024 cost savings work that we'd done. Overall, the Health Board has good governance arrangements, with the committees operating well and receiving high quality information to support scrutiny. And there's also a continued commitment to listening to patients, service users and staff. We did make some areas where we felt that transparency could be improved. I appreciate today is a step towards that as well, and with the live streaming of this meeting. We commented on the external support in helping the board to develop and mature, with progress being made on risk management in particular. And we also noted the new long-term strategy we'd agreed, and the work that's been going on around organising for success as well. At the time of our work, we did find that the performance management framework was not fully embedded, and there were some audit recommendations that still needed to be addressed. The financial position was of a concern, with a significant year-end deficit, and the financial position was obviously causing issues with the IMDP approval and annual plan. We've made 4 recommendations which the Health Board has accepted, and we have a management response to these. I'd like to just reiterate the thanks to Hazel and everybody involved in doing this particular piece of work. It's very much appreciated. I'm happy to take any questions on the content of the report.
Thank you, Sarah. Again, comments, questions, Rena?
Just got one really. It's not in such of the content of the report, but only my new focus in on performance management, which we've been talking about today. I just wondered, is there a good example out there of the Health Board in Wales that has embedded performance management in the way in which they run their organisation? Or is there one elsewhere if it's not in Wales? Because I feel it is a big organisation. There's all these intricate, complex parts. But it does seem to me that, in a sense, if somebody's done it well, there may be some learning for it.
Yes, I did have the opportunity and conversations with Darren. We did share some of the arrangements that are in place in other organisations. We're quite unique within Audit Wales that we have quite a small health team, and we cover a number of sites, which enables us to share good practice and things that we see working well. So we have kind of fed into that discussion. But it is a really good point about looking outside of Wales and what else is happening in those areas. And we do engage with Audit Scotland and other regulators. So we do try to share good practice, and hopefully we've informed some of that discussion going forward.
You've got Nuria, then Liz. Liz, were you first?
I think she might want to come back on performance. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I suppose it's for us what our strategy is, how we deploy it. Organising success will help us to do that with the right structures. It's about improvement culture. It's about that absolute deployment of strategy through the organisation. So you set expectation, you hold to account, but everybody understands what. I think that's what we're working to, really. That's what I get excited about. That's what we're trying to drive with Organise for Success. So we want to monitor to improve, hold to account, rather than set up a performance management regime that isn't really set an expectation and then holding to account through that process. I think.
Yeah, no, that absolutely. And we are looking at organisations that perform well in England. There aren't many that are absolute comparators in terms of the breadth and depth of things we do as an integrated health board here. But there are certainly examples that colleagues around this table have experience of in the past, where
that alignment, your North Star set out in your strategy, you're then working through your risks are actually about delivery of your strategy, and then delivery of your annual plan, which is about the milestones towards your strategy. So we've got component parts of it in place. The bit about organised for success is about how we bring it all together. It's the organisational design, it's the operating framework as we've described, and that we've committed to relaunch. It will still need more work, and we'll need to recalibrate it when we have the care groups in place.
Yeah.
And I'll update you a little bit more next week about how we set that and work our way through, because the other thing we need to do is be really clear across all of the things that we are covering. What are the most important things to us? So which are our real driver metrics that we need to be focused on? We give you a lot here. I think that is important. You can delve into the detail and get into some of the granular detail, but we need to be presenting you with the real drivers and connected back to our strategic objectives in our strategy. And then we can work through and give you great assurance about which way we're heading. I think there are some organisations in Wales that have matured their reporting arrangement. And I've actually got a colleague with a conversation with a colleague tomorrow to understand how they do it in another health board. So we are pinched with pride. We are up for that if we can see examples of good practice. But for us, it's more about embedding right the way through and being really explicit about what we are required and where we're prioritising and what we expect continuous improvement or step change. And be really explicit about that in terms of what we're committing to as an organisation. And that would be really important for our IMTP, that we might be saying we are not prioritising everything at the same rate. And therefore, what might be continuous improvement, which might be very minor improvement, but actually that's what we're going to tolerate and accept because other things are more important where we want to see a greater scale of improvement and step change.
The other point?
Yeah, no, Abby said some of what I was going to say, which is it is about making sure we do have an enormous amount of data. A lot of that is manually collected and we report on it in multiple fora. So it's about making sure we're reporting on the right things at the right level. We're reporting with granularity underneath, but not everything showing at once. I suppose the other big priority for us is to make sure that where we can, we are feeding that data directly from a digital source, because a lot of our data currently is manually collected. So we're focusing on both of those things as part of this update to our performance framework and team.
Well, thank you again, Sarah. We've obviously received with interest both of the documents from Audit Wales. We've taken assurance from the positivity. Oh, and you want to come back in?
I'll keep this really brief because I know you want to move us on. Conversations that we're having with Sarah are actually very much in tune with the discussions that we're having about improvement and what that means in relation to performance, because as Sarah knows, we know, it's not just about the target, it's about what that target means in practice. And that's what we wanted to get to. So it's really, really, really positive. And I think, like you, I'm really excited. And I think this is going to be a really good opportunity for us. I think what I wanted to say, though, is that I do need to give the board assurance in my role as audit committee chair, which is really important, and is to say that we have scrutinised the structured assessments management response. We have made recommendations to those responses to tighten them. And just to give you that second tier of assurance, I know that's gone through the system and I know you'll be receiving our comments. And can I just thank Sarah for her openness and transparency. We rely on Sarah's team as our third line of defence, and we really welcome your input in our audit committee. So thank you very much. And to our executive, because I know a lot of hard work goes into making those management responses as tight and as meaningful as possible so that we can drive those improvements.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. And so I hope you take that back to your colleagues.
I will. Thank you.
So as I say, we've received the documentation. We take assurance from the positivity that that's included in both documents and that you've outlined to us. We obviously accept the learning and the recommendations that you've highlighted. We're taking an action on improving the pace in responding to recommendations and in looking at good practice, particularly as we develop our performance improvement management framework, which will be part of a much bigger cultural piece. So we hope that when you come to do the structured assessment 2026, you're looking at all our work around organisational culture. Thank you. And thank you very much for your time, Jonathan Bow.
Thank you, Chair.
So Hazel, shall I turn to your corporate governance report, please?
Yeah, there's just one item I wanted to bring to the board's attention in relation to the cross committee working. There's a workshop that's held in December. There's a further one that's been arranged for June. The action plan is there with an update, and I'm proposing that we develop a board effectiveness action plan using that work, the actions from the structured assessment to bring it together in one action plan, and then ask the audit committee to oversee on behalf of the board.
Nuria, do you want to add there?
Just to add a second line of assurance, which I think is around the fact that we've had those conversations. You will see that a lot of the actions were around the audit committee, thinking about how we can do that cross-referral work more effectively. We're on top of a lot of the actions, but I think it's just going to take us some time to embed. There's going to be further discussions with committee chairs on the way. And just in terms of the audit committee itself, it's actually looking at our own effectiveness and thinking about how we undertake a maturity matrix in line with some of the issues that were highlighted in terms of our cross-referral and committee working. So just to share that piece of information with all board members, so
Thank
you're
you.
aware.
Thank you, Nuria. So we can receive a number of documents, including the circulars, the register, etc. With a very, very constructive workshop with all committee chairs looking at cross-committee working, and we're indebted to Tina and Hazel for facilitating that. And can we agree that audit committee will lead for committee on the implementation of what would be a very, from good practice, leading edge board effectiveness action plan? We content? Thank you. And thank you for agreeing to do that, Nuria. And I think this is something that we should look to work with GGI on to actually promote our work around this. So thank you. We've got 3 sets of minutes. We've got a special board first on the 23rd of October. Are they a correct record of our meeting? Thank you. Then our regular 27th of November meeting. And then our 16th of December special meeting again. We happy and approve those? Thank you. Hazel, the action log?
Action log, we've got 16 actions. We've got updates on all of them that are in progress at the moment, and we'll be chasing them down and closing them down and reporting back to board as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then for our advisory groups report, and we will be looking to restructure and develop both our relationship with our partnership forum and our health professionals forum in 26-27 in the same way that we've done with our stakeholder reference group in 25-26. And Pat, is there anything you want to bring to the board's attention from the January meeting of the stakeholder reference group?
Only that we had it wasn't actually scheduled, but because of something that came up in another item, we ended up having a really useful conversation about the patient portal. And I've gone away and signed up to it, and I'm sure lots of other people have as well. But yeah, it was a really interesting discussion.
Thank you. We look forward to meeting with you and your colleagues again. We're scheduling that in for our AGM.
Yes, I've had an email about it.
That would be good. Thank you. But Tina, anything you want to flag from partnership forum minutes that we've got?
Yes, just the key, I think, the board's awareness is obviously there's been a series of communications out to staff about the financial position of the organisation, and an email from Abby around the more, we call them stringent controls in place, did cause quite a reaction across the organisation and with staff side. So we had a couple of special partnership forum meetings where we listened to the feedback and developed in partnerships and frequently asked questions, which have been published, and we committed to a number of things to make sure we improve the engagement going forward. So, for example, the chair of staff side will attend the main part of the RNS programme board, and we've invited staff side to observe the vacancy control panel as well, so they feel part of the key decisions of the organisation.
And of course, we will be communicating with partnership forum today, won't we, from the board meeting?
Yes.
In terms of the additional actions around science. Thank you. And as I say, we hope to welcome Helen Allendale, who's the new chair of the Health Professionals Forum, to our March meeting. That's good. And then the next item is just for you to take cognizance of everything I've been up to since the last meeting, get that right. You're happy to do that? Thank you. So we've no items for any other business unless there's anything that's occurred anyone during the course of the meeting. You want to flag now? Oh, well, I'll move then to the review of meeting effectiveness. And this is Darren's last meeting, as we said. And as a treat, Darren is our rapporteur. So it was a privilege, Darren, was it not?
It was not a privilege to be out.
I didn't realise that. I offered him as a privilege, and he couldn't wait to accept. Darren, over to you. Over to you.
I'd rather talk about the financial position again. I'm not sure I followed the guide, but just some observations. I think perhaps as someone stepping away, my first reflection is, I wrestled with this word, but I've used the word gravity. The gravity of public office that we will share comes through very strongly in the way in which the board is introduced and governed and the way we talk about things. And I'm very aware of the sense of our public duty, and that's a really sort of strong sort of message through that probably lots of other organisations don't feel. And it's important that we hold on to that. And the second thing I was going to mention, and Sarah did a really good job actually, so I should have spoken to her about this. Obviously, the live streaming has been picked up, and that's an important part of the transparency. The way in which we challenge each other, they've challenged constructively, particularly when the agenda is weighted, as you said today, is admirable. I think that's grown and developed over time. I think, certainly speaking for myself as an executive, I come in, I expect that, and I welcome that. I suspect that's how it feels for colleagues around the board as well. I was also struck by the way in which we work from big system conversations down to today in particular, where we had a number of patient examples, not just a very moving story of the baby and the family, but when we were talking perinatal examples, I think some of the work that we've done there really came to life through talking about people and the way our services touch them. Sometimes we do it well, sometimes we don't quite well. I think there's a bit for me on the risk. Obviously, our risk agenda is evolving across the strategic, the corporate, and then the local. I think we all recognise there's probably more to do to weave that into business. Very important part of what we do. I think the committees are getting there very important. There's maybe just be a bit more we can bring the risk agenda into that. In terms of quality reports, I'm always impressed by the quality reports, I've got to say, but we had an exemplar today, didn't we? We had the perinatal report and the action plan, and the way in which the data, the workforce, people, and the report triangulated was very impressive. And then the way in which it was introduced was very impressive as well. It came across very clearly. What's my gosh, my eyesight is failing me. I thought we were honest. I think we're always honest, but I think the honesty was palpable. And I just reflect on the first time I attended a board in one of the iterations of this organisation was in 2008. Which one it was, but it was then. And that board felt like a board of reporting in public. I think the journey we've been on to today is one where we are reporting in public, but we're challenging, we're being transparent, and we're allowing everybody to see what our business is in a very mature way. And I think that's a long journey, 2008 to now, but I think we've accelerated that in recent years now. It's impressive to see. Hopefully that's decent rapporteuring, if not.
Yes, we should.
Really helpful. Thank you. Well, this isn't the main event in terms of your leaving, Darren, as we know. We're doing this on the 16th of February, but we couldn't let you leave the board just by saying that you've led the finance and performance function through some of the most demanding and complex periods this organisation has ever known. And you've remained unwaveringly committed to the health and to the communities that we serve. What's always stood out about your leadership is not just your command of the numbers, and that is impressive, but you've never lost sight of the fact that behind every line in a report are patients, staff, and services that matter very deeply to the people of Swansea Bay University Health Board. And colleagues across the organisation will know you as someone who's thoughtful, who's measured, and utterly dependable. And when things get difficult, and they've got exceptionally difficult, you remain steady and you remain professional. So on a personal note, many of us have appreciated your generosity with your time, your willingness to explain the complexities of the allocation formula, and your quiet sense of humour, which you often bring out at just the right time to lighten what can be very hard conversations. We are genuinely sorry to be saying goodbye to you, but we're also immensely proud that you leave us to take up Chief Financial Officer role at Swansea University. They just aren't gaining a finance leader. They are gaining someone who understands public service, partnership and purpose. And they are indeed fortunate. Thank you for everything you've given to Swansea Bay University Health Board, your leadership, your commitment, your value. We wish you every success. We know you'll stay in touch with us, and of course, we know where you live. But from the board down, this is a little bottle of something bubbly. The IV drip is inside. You go down. At that point, we'll draw the meeting to a close. Diolch yn fawr iawn i gyd am y cyfraniadau. Well done. Been a very good meeting, very, very rich, weighty discussions. Thank you all for the sure, respectful and courteous way we conducted ourselves during a very, very hard agenda. Diolch yn fawr iawn.